bytes Dimension 103 beyond deciphering data. So looking at the series and just a recap, with Dimension 101, we talked about how to download Dimension from WatchGuard.com, software.watchguard.com. We talked about how to upgrade it. We have Dimension 1.3 update 2 actually out that can sit in a Hyper-V or VMware environment. I have people running it with VMware Workstation or ESXi free or one license per email address, and then ultimately that's deployed as an appliance. So as we look at that, again, we're going to have that visibility of users, finding out what they're doing on the network. And then that brings us into Dimension 102 recap. We talked about user investigations, finding out how to find out where someone is getting blocked. For instance, if they go to youtube.com or maybe GoToMeeting, is it web blocker that's blocking them, or is it app control? And then ultimately using Dimension to identify those data breaches. As we talked about, you know, the bad guys are hiding amongst those channels, for instance, DNS traffic. Really, I'm encouraging everyone to lock down your DNS traffic so that we don't have that advanced malware command and control traffic going across those popular channels that historically have been open. So today we're going to actually talk about some more management sides. This is going to wrap up the Dimension 103 series. We're going to talk about how to set up the SMTP server for email alerts from the firewall. We're going to talk about how to set up those scheduled reports, how to maybe set up individual report templates. Maybe some of you have needs for different firewalls to have different personalities on the reports. Certainly we can do all that and much more. We're going to also talk about how to set up Active Directory integration. So rather than the Active Directory on the XDM side, talking about SSO, that will be coming up on a future Firebyte session. Today we're just going to talk about how to sign in as an Active Directory user or a user group. So we'll cover that. And then maybe for some of the smaller shops that aren't running SSO, how do we get those names set up through Dimension so that we actually see maybe a friendly name versus an IP address, and we can do that through IP address mapping. And then how to upgrade Dimension, so we'll cover that as well. So rather than continue on in the slides, I'm just going to go ahead and cut right over. Again, this session is being recorded, so feel free to find us on YouTube. It's just youtube.com/WatchGuardNW, and I'll throw that up at the end. So just to recap, again, I'm going to start fresh, sign in as admin. Now, as we talk about this, the first step that we have on the agenda is how to set up the SMTP server for email alerts. So hopefully most of you have set that up already, but if you recall, on the firewall side, you have your alerts, and one of them is to send email alerts. The emails are generated out of Dimension, so if you don't have your logging and report server set up, you're not going to get any of those email alerts. So I can set up those email alerts simply by going under Administration, Log Server Management, and under here I can go under, you see I have this submenu. So we'll cover some of this, IP address mapping. Right now we're going to go into my configuration. Most of you are familiar with this read-only, so as I go into a screen, I'm in read-only mode. I can go ahead and switch to read-write mode to make changes as need be to these individual subpanes. So from here, I can change my encryption key. So again, if you have a remote firewall that's sending over the internet, those log entries are encrypted. You can go ahead and change it here. You can talk about your database size. For instance, I have a 25 gig database size here. I can set it to automatically delete log messages older than X amount of days so that I don't bump up against that ceiling. I also have a backup log messages, so if I wanted to, I could export that out to a remote FTP site. I can also do have an external PostgreSQL database. So for this, I want to go into notifications. I'm going to go ahead and switch to read-write mode. Now, as we talk about the events, so I probably want to have all three of these going, and I'll cover what each one. So when a failure event occurs on this log server, it's going to send me an email address. Maybe somehow the database gets corrupted, and it can send me a notification through there. This event notification, again, this is just part of that visibility. For instance, if you have a user that gets APT object, you want to be notified immediately if there's an email that goes through that someone tried to send an APT object or download. You want to be notified. So this is just part of that smart administration of setting up your email alerts. And then when log messages are purged from the database, we can also get an email notification. For instance, as I just showed you, purge those entries from there. So under here, pretty straightforward. I just want to set up an outgoing email server, SMTP. I can use either a DNS or IP address. In my case, I just have it in my local area network, so I don't necessarily need to worry about email credentials. Now, if you had a, for instance, if I was using a remote email server, I would probably want to go ahead and enable the credentials. I'm going to set up where I want to send my email to, where that email is coming from, and then the subject of that, and I'm just going to go ahead and say test email. So pretty straightforward. I can then pull up my email and look at that, and I get this test notification that my WatchGuard sent me a sample test. So pretty straightforward on that. Now once we have our SMTP server set up, our settings set up, we can go into our scheduled reports and send out an email on a nightly basis of those reports. So to do that, I can just go under the schedule reports. Now in this case, let's go ahead and switch again to read-write mode. And what we can actually do is click on add. We can choose our schedule name. So if I want to say daily reports, and then come up with a description. From here, I just click on next, and I can specify specific devices, or I can just say all devices. So for this example, I'm just going to use all devices, and then I'm going to choose destination selection. So in this case, I want to go ahead and send reports to email, type in the email address that I want to send to. If I wanted to, I could actually specify the subject and body settings there, create some additional text. Now what we can actually do is under report selection, we have specific reports that we can do. So the most common is this executive summary reports. And as I mentioned, that's just going to give you kind of an overview, 10,000-foot level view of what's going on your firewall on a daily basis. So then, I have a number of people that say, Dimension's absolutely fabulous, but I don't have any, I don't have 5 minutes to be able to log in. I just want to see a report. And this is that way that we can just get that report in our inbox every day and look at it. And then we can set up actually report templates. So under this, I have a generic WatchGuard report template, or I can create additional report templates that I will cover as well. So under my report output templates, I can say whether or not I want single reports for multiple devices, or combined reports, or single and combined. I can run it on a daily basis, weekly basis, or monthly. So in this case, I'm just going to say single and combined, run daily, and go ahead and finish. So now we see that that report is in there, and it's will run on a nightly basis. To give you an example of that report, this is an email that generated last night for that report. I see here that the report's generated, and this is part of that report template that I mentioned. So I can customize a logo, and have a header. I can also put my name down there so that you can specify either your name or your company. I can also customize this network excellence here. So as we look through the report, again, it's just going to give you that barometer, the overview level of what's going on in your network. So in this case, I see this one, this IP address, again, very high usage. So now I might want to go into Dimension and investigate what all those hits were on this IP address. Now, if I had single sign-on going on in my network, I'd be able to map that out to individual users. So again, top domains, I can see exactly what's going on. Windows updates hit. I had quite a bit of Apple traffic, information technology. So again, all of that information just in the executive summary report that's going to email me every night at 12:01 or on a weekly basis if need be. So now the next step I wanted to show you is how to customize that, that report template. So I can go under Admin, go under Log Server Management, go under Configuration, and now I can go under the Reporting tab. Switch to Read-Write mode. So from here, I can go in, view my custom template. So if you maybe are a managed service provider or had multiple sites that you wanted to have multiple flavors for, you could do that right through your custom templates. So I can just go ahead and click on Add. I'm going to go ahead and just click on, let's say, Johan's cool templates. Click on it, or I can specify a header. And then, as I mentioned, we can do the prepared by Johan Blumhardt here, and then choose a logo as well from there. So I'm just going to choose a sample logo. Click OK, and then it's telling me I can't do it, apostrophe there. Click OK, and I think that this is my LastPass. Phenomenal tool, LastPass, but it interferes a bit with some of the web pages on filling out the form. So if I look at, for instance, a sample template, again, right here we have the header, network excellence, the footer, and then my logo on there. I can also specify the FTP servers where I want to save those reports. So maybe there's a website that I want to have that I have some special application for networks in there that I can go ahead and just upload those reports to FTP servers. I could also integrate ConnectWise, so extremely useful on that side as well. Now the next step I want to talk about is setting up the Active Directory integration. So again, just a great way to have, again, we're just talking about the login into Dimension that I will show you, configure and show you how that works. So we just go under Administration, User Management. Right here, no surprise, we see Admin as a local user, Super Administrator. So the first step I want to do, again, with this is just go ahead and click on Switch to Read-Write mode. By doing that, it allows me to get into Active Directory. If you're familiar with setting up Active Directory with the firewall or WSM, extremely simple. We're just going to say Active Directory domain, click on the plus to add it here. We can go ahead and click on a plus on this. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and click, I forgot to hit save here. Switch to read-write mode. Go into Active Directory settings, and now I can test it. I'm just going to specify an Active Directory user. Click on test, and I see that I have my Active Directory authentication passed. So at this point, I can go ahead and add either a user or a particular group from Active Directory. So if I wanted to, I'm just going to say, in this case, type in my individual user ID. If I wanted to, I could create a group as well, and that would just be the distinguished name or the name that I would grab from Active Directory on that. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and click on Active Directory user. I'm going to specify, in this case, a super administrator. If I wanted to, I could say, let's go ahead and limit that to reports,
or be able to view logs, view reports. And in that case, I can specify, again, specific devices. So if I wanted only a user to have access to one device and its reports, I could specify that here. In this case, I'm just going to say super administrator, click on save. Now it's in there. I'm going to go ahead and save this as well. So at this point, I can go ahead and log out of Dimension, type in my Active Directory username and password. And now I have all of those devices as well. So just that easy. Then that way, the next time that I update my Active Directory password, I don't have to remember all those different passwords. I can just use my Active Directory password for that. So extremely easy to set up on there. So the next step I wanted to talk about is setting up those IP address mappings. So in this case, in my environment, if I were to look at my DHCP reservations, again, you probably have similar situations going on. And again, this is perfect for those smaller networks that maybe you don't have single sign-up set up for. So in my network, for instance, let me just pull over my Active Directory screen. I have a list of reservations that I have for my devices. I can go ahead and create those friendly names so that way I'm not seeing a specific or IP addresses, but I'm seeing friendly names under there. So to do that, I can just go under admin, log server management, go under IP address mapping. I'm going to go ahead and again switch to read-write mode. And that really is so that if we have multiple people getting into Dimension at the same time, that we're not overriding one another's changes that we're making. So by switching to read-write mode, it locks the device so that if I have a coworker, they're not able to make any changes at that point. So I could go ahead and just create a dynamic IP address resolution and configure that. And I'm just going to say, based on my DNS servers, it's going to do a reverse IP lookup, and it could do it that way. So that's definitely an option as well for you. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now in this case, I'm going to go ahead and take a static IP address map. Let's go and look at some of my top users on my network and create one of those so that we can see the instant change there. So we see here 1.1.59. I can go ahead and just grab that IP. And again, within a matter of clicks, I can click on here, find out what exactly is going on. And this looks like it was probably my daughter surfing on or watching a movie on Netflix. So I can go ahead and create IP address static mapping for that. So under here, again, log server management, IP address mapping, switch to read-write mode. And I could go ahead and import a full list if I wanted to. Or let's say you have a number of devices on your network, or you have multiple networks. You can go ahead and simply import that. And if I wanted to, I could export my reservation list, make a few changes, and be able to import that directly from there. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and type in the IP address, and I'm going to say Surface Tablet for the name. Click on Save. And now at this point, I have a mapping of 1.1.59 to Surface Tablet. And as I go under my home screen, go under my device, now I should see that Surface Tablet as having that friendly name. And again, here we see Johan at Bloomhart.com. That's a single sign-on. But in this case, it was a Surface Tablet not joined to my domain. So I can create an IP address mapping for that. And then the next item I wanted to cover is how to upgrade Dimension. So there's a number of ways. So as we talk about Dimension, there's either a new deployment or an upgrade option. And I certainly don't want you to, as you go under software.watchguard.com, certainly don't want you to create another instance of Dimension. You can simply download an upgrade file. So from this case, we have either a Hyper-V or VMware. I can simply choose the upgrade file, save it to my computer,
and then go through those steps as well. If you ever forget, again, the release notes, great reminder on how we can upgrade or install new devices. I was just in here last night looking at, for instance, the VMware deployment. So as I look at that, let's say I download that upgrade file, I can simply go under Administration, System Settings, right from here, and I have System Maintenance options under my System Settings. So, for instance, Upgrade Dimension, I can go ahead and choose my upgrade file from here and upgrade Dimension without losing any of that data. We can also see, for instance, connected users. So if you had, you wanted to do an audit on here, you could find out who exactly was connected to Dimension. But again, right from here, we have reboot, upgrade, restore defaults, and then a shutdown Dimension from here. And that's basically it on some of the major Dimension management topics that we have. Again, just with every Firebyte session, I would encourage you, if you have specific questions on how to do one thing or another across any of our product lines, feel free to send me an email, shoot it over, and we'll definitely get that on the agenda. The next session that we actually have coming up, which is going to be, let me pull up that slide deck here, and we're going to cover APT. We have a number of users out there that unfortunately have gotten CryptoLocker or CryptoWall. You want to find out how you can block those or effectively block those on your network. Again, APT blocker, we'll go ahead and cover that on how to configure your WatchGuard firewalls to be able to mitigate those threats. So you can find right here our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WatchGuardNW. Grab all of the Firebytes on there. Again, we just wanted to have a great, easy, and quick way for you to keep on top of the technology and some of the changes that are coming down. So as we look at the future agendas, we have some of the new features of 11.10. Again, phenomenal features being released with